Welcome back and thanks for staying with us here at the IEC Results Operation Centre, the National Centre in Tshwane. We've gone to KZN, we've gone to the Free State. We now go to the only province in the election where the African National Congress has retained a majority, and Tumelo Machogo is standing by for us from Mpumalanga. The ANC seems to be holding on strongly in the province with just 77% of the ballots counted so far. Tumelo, what's the latest?
Well, indeed, Desiree, 77% of the vote have been counted in 1,380 voting districts here in the province. You remember that the ANC so far is holding at about 59% of the vote, followed by the EFF rather with 15%, the DA with 13%, the FF Plus also there, the Freedom Front Plus also there with 3.3%. But you remember that the ANC in 3 municipalities is holding by over 70%. That include Nkomazi, Bushbuck Ridge, and also Chief Albert Lituli. But they are struggling in the Steve Tshwete municipality. They're only at about 37. They're still leading there, but the DA there is about 28% in that municipality. If we go to Lekwa municipality, which is one of the municipality that community has been protesting, calling for services delivery, especially in that area, especially water, sanitation, that the sewer sewage that has been spilling on the street. There, the Lekwa Community Forum is doing very well at 19%, and the ANC is at about 42%, with the DA at 13%. So that is an interesting municipality because so far that municipality is still at hang. And also, you remember that the ANC so far has is leading in 7 council, and also has majority in 7 council, and with only 1 council that is still left. But let's speak to political analyst Ndate Dumisani Dembe just to talk to us about the situation that we've seen in Lekwa. That we see now Lekwa Community Forum is doing very well at 19%. You know, this is a new party that was just started this year, and the community that had been calling for service delivery. Just talk to us, why are we seeing this?
Well, I think it's a very important move because it means the community itself has taken it upon itself to generate their own organization that is going to govern the municipality. But now that they are not necessarily in the majority, it is still a very good one because it means they have a direct members of the community that are represented in the council, and therefore they are able to hold whoever will be governing within the municipality to account to deliver upon all of these issues that they've been protesting about, water and sanitation, housing, and all of that. So it's a very, very good development because it means these ones, the community forum members, are actually directly accountable and organically drawn from the community where they live. But if you look at the other side, if you're looking at the political parties such as the ANC and the DA, they are members that are becoming members of the council. They're more accountable and responsible to their political parties rather than the community. So it's a very good twist. I think the mistake that they shouldn't make is to get into a coalition with a political party, because that will dilute the power that they have as an organic representation of the people, of the community members.
That we see the ANC normally have like a big majority here in the province. We've seen that they do have majority in 3 municipalities with over 70%, but some municipalities they only have about 50%, and also turnout was very low this year. But what is now the ANC have to do to garner more vote for the next elections? Because we see now they have lost a lot of vote from the people. What is the future of the ANC, especially when it comes to issues of service delivery in this municipality that like communities have been protesting about, especially in rural municipalities?
I think the decline of the voter turnout is a national issue. It's not only limited to the province of Mpumalanga. And second to that, it means the solution about how to get people to vote, it depends on the nature and context and the value of the national politics. If the national politics are weak, provincial and the local government politics are going to be weak. But here's the issue, Tumelo, that we must not make a mistake of. We must never reduce the election into a numbers game. I know the numbers are at the heart of it. But election in this particular country, it bears the historical mandate of using that political power that the masses are given to liberation movements to improve their quality of life. And that is the link which I personally think it has been lost in the process. Because now, when we talk about election, it's all about the numbers game. How much is the ANC losing? How much is the EFF losing or gaining? It has become a statistical issue. But the history of South Africa's democracy, it demands that the democratic process produces a performing government and therefore a better service delivery. Now, without that historical consciousness, we will continue to see this electioneering as a numbers game. It is not a numbers game. It's about changing the quality of the lives of the people. And the people who have got the moral, ethical responsibility to do that, it's the politicians. There's no country in the world, either nationally, provincial, or locally, that grows without an astute political leadership. And that's what perhaps needs to change. So it's not about what should the ANC do to gain more votes. It's about the historical consciousness of the value of being a political leader to the community in creating a better life.
And what do you think about these, especially the Lekwa Community Forum and also the Middelburg and Hendrina residents, also their party, and also Isanko, those small parties that have also made a huge dent? What do you think, why is that important for them actually to be also making this kind of like a presence in these elections?
Look, it's very important because one of the biggest gaps in this country is the vacuum of leadership at the community level. So if you look, even political parties, what do? They take their strongest persons to the National Assembly, to the Provincial Assembly. But where you really need an astute leadership is actually at the grassroots level. So when political parties prioritize national structures, then the masses rise, from below to say that this is how they are going to manage their local, socio-economic development. So this is why it's quite a sad state of affairs that the Sanko is no longer that vociferous organization that it was in the fight against apartheid, because it really became the leadership, the voice and the strength of the masses. So moving forward, I think what is likely to enhance communities to do better is the organic growth of leadership within communities, but the leadership that is not simply preoccupied with going to National Assembly and provision, that they want to exercise their leadership within where they are, because the future of this country, it depends on astute local leaders.
Thank you so much. That was Date Dumisani Tempe just talking to us about the issues that we're seeing here in Mpumalanga. So far, 77% of the vote have been counted, Desiree, in 1,380 municipal voting district out of the 1,781 in this province. Desiree?
Tumelo, thank you so much. And Professor Tuvenaga, I want to bring you back in here. Analyst Mr. Tembe was saying that it shouldn't only be a numbers game, but we should look at the lived experiences as well. And I was talking to you earlier about these predicted coalitions and just how mature our political parties are. There were complaints previously stemming out of the 2016 result that there couldn't be agreements about budgets, for argument's sake. How do we see these political parties going forward in terms of how they will handle the management of the municipalities where they have to govern alongside each other?
Desiree, I think it's very interesting Mpumalanga, because the ANC is still good in control. It's almost like the old picture, just like Limpopo and Northwest. But I think what came out of the insert is the importance of local leadership. And the fact that I think the ANC must have a rethink about its management of provinces like Mpumalanga and Limpopo and the Northwest. The Free State is a case on its own. We can leave it just there for the moment. And I think what's here important is a whole new, what President Ramaphosa has called a renewal within the ANC, that from the grassroots level upwards, But for me, this is the local elections, and what we need as South Africans, from whatever persuasion, we need good leaders at the ground level, people who can manage the local councils, the local municipalities and metros very well. And in this case, in Mpumalanga, there's not a good track record. If you also look at the main city there, Mbombela, things can still improve. And I think that's what's coming out of the insert. The ANC could be in control, but it's maybe a time for renewal. Better managers, politicians that really have the interests of the people at heart.
Having said that, what is it that the ANC is doing well in Mpumalanga?
I think, and this is also the case in Limpopo and Northwest, I think the emotional tie to the ANC is still very strong. Even though people at the ground level don't have it very well, we have unemployment, poverty, I think there is still the mystical element of the ANC as the party of freedom, freedom movement party. But secondly also, we cannot underestimate the whole issue of social justice. The fact that grants are given to people in these, predominantly in these provinces. So I think those two things, the emotional side as well as the issue of grants, still have a good or a strong influence on the way people are voting there.
A very important element, but let's look at municipalities such as the Steve Tshwete municipality, where the Democratic Alliance is showing has got quite a showing at coming in at 28.4%. And I just need to update our viewers that the figures are coming in thick and fast on the national grid, on the national numbers for the IEC. We were reporting 65% earlier. It's now showing at 66%. So a lot of movement there. But Prof, just speak to us about the Democratic Alliance showing, particularly in the Steve Tshwete municipality.
Here we can see the DA is doing well. It's doing better because overall in the province, the EFF I think is still ahead of the DA. But this is a specific municipality, and here we can see the DA is doing very well. Desiree, you must just help me. Steve Tshwete, is that Middelburg or is it Witbank? What area? What is the big city here?
All right, I'm going to zone in there, and I've got, all right, it's not showing me the name. I've got Oliphants there, but okay, I'm not able to zone in on that one. But what I also wanted to ask is on the national conversation of social cohesion, Mpumalanga always comes up in terms of frosty racial relations, and we see the Freedom Front Plus making a showing as well. Not very significant, but they've got 8 seats allocated already. What's the story there with the Freedom Front Plus in Mpumalanga?
I think the Freedom Front Plus is getting votes from the DA. That is what's happening on that front. And it's interesting that you see there if you look at the province, the DA has 12%, and I think the Freedom Front Plus has 3%. And if you count those two together, it's more than the EFF. But the EFF at this stage is the official opposition in the province.
Yeah.
And most of the towns, the official opposition, except in the Steve Tshwete municipality, which I presume has a big city there somewhere, there you will have a DA presence that counts.
Let's take you back to the floor. I hear Kaya.